Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you're new. I am the stepson of Krypton,
And I'm Mantis.
and today we are talking about one of Mantis's favorite subjects. Mantis, do you want to tell us what that is?
Yes, it is barbecue smoking. I'm going to be doing 2 turkeys for Thanksgiving tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I am doing that. But no, this is about the thing that I really dislike the most in comic book movies. And I'm so glad James Gunn is made an actual, I almost said appearance. He voiced his opinion on this like he always does on Twitter and threads and all this. And we're going to tell it to you after our sponsor.
Word from our sponsor, which is
Where's that alcohol bottle? Yeah, I don't have
rough.
mine within reach. I
I,
don't have it
I
within
damn near
reach.
had it out of reach, but all right, no, guys. So I know we have talked about this several other videos. For those of you who have seen those, we appreciate that. But we're gonna go a little more in depth, and we're gonna go with some fans had asked him some questions on threads and how he responded to it. So it's going to be different. I know we have talked about the not having origin stories in a few videos and how Mantis's feelings, but we're going to get a little more in depth into it. So if you guys are ready, well, you don't really have a choice if you're watching this unless you just don't watch it anymore. We're going to go right now. All right, guys. So James Gunn has obviously made his idea known of how he feels about origin stories and what he plans for his movies. Mantis has been salivating to discuss this with you about some things that were finally confirmed and some things that he had said to fans that have asked him questions in regards to the origin stories and why the Creature Commandos and Superman, at least starting out, the birthing of the DCU are not going to have origin stories. Mantis, I know you are a fan of this topic. Do you want to lead us in that discussion while I have a drink?
Yes, I will. And again, if you haven't checked out our previous video on the timeline of Superman and Creature Commandos, check that out because, like Cal said, it does kind of tie into this because Creature Commandos happens right before Superman. Um, you're kind of like, well, how are they going to do that if they're going to explain where Superman comes from? Well, they're not.
Tell you how. We're not.
In on Threads, a fan Shubhang Fearless, which is a awesome name, asked James Gunn, quote, James, why are you overlooking origin stories? Those make us connect with the characters at a emotional level. Okay, so first off, I guess maybe for, I don't know, 10% of the audience, I don't think an origin story is required to connect emotionally with the character. That's just a stupid thing to say. But anyway, and I think James Gunn is kind of, maybe he didn't word it like that in the same words. He said, I'm, quote, I'm not telling Batman and Superman origin stories again because everyone knows them. And when I saw that, I almost did a backflip and was cheering because, yes, that's exactly my thoughts. We've discussed this previously on this channel. I feel like he was maybe following me on Twitter low key and didn't he's not crediting me for that. But yeah, like we know who Batman is. We know who Superman is. We know where they come from. Their stories have been told a million times. It's out there if you want to read about it. There's no point in wasting.
Yeah, but
Again,
but do
my
people
thing.
know like who Bat or who Bruce Wayne's mom is? Like, do you know who Bruce Wayne's mom is?
Well, I mean, they're the same mom. Doesn't Superman and Batman have the same mom? That's what I saw in
I
Batman
mean,
v
but
Superman.
do you know who Batman's mom is?
Batman's mom doesn't matter in the story of
But
Batman.
who is she?
Okay,
You don't even know her name.
I'm not going to say it.
Damn it, I was gonna say, why did
Not.
you say that name? You fucking ruined it. It's just ruined. It's fine. All right. See, this is what
So I'm
happens
not
when
going to
you just
say
kind
it.
of like do videos off the cuff and we don't plan this out, right? You
It's
ruined the
not.
joke. You ruined it.
That's not why I'm not going to say the name. I'm not going to say Martha. So it's
Why did you say
Shiv.
that name?
Exactly. Okay, so again, guys, Gunn is of course correct. Batman origin story has been done several times. Big budget, small budget. It's been in flashes in the animated series. I mean, everyone knows this. Superman's origin stories has been told once in the original. I'm talking about movies here. We're just gonna go from the OG. It was also wasn't it in Superman 2? Like a little bit, if I can remember.
You get a little more, like not a lot, but you get some. You get a little.
It was in Superman Returns, right?
We don't talk about Superman Returns. So at the beginning of Superman Returns, he comes back to Earth. He went to go find Krypton because Sean Murphy
that's right.
had found Krypton, and he's like, it's a wasteland, and he comes back in the gray. He comes back in the Battle World gray fucking Superman suit, which was badass, but they did nothing with that.
That's right.
Instead, we're gonna make him have a kid that he bailed on,
and it was also in Man of Steel, and it was also in Lois Smallville. Was it in Lois and Clark too? They do at the beginning of that show.
You get to see, so you don't really find out as much. Like in the first season of Lois and Clark, he finds an orb from the ship that was taken that it gives him a little bit of insight into Jor-El and all of them.
I won't count that then.
Then they do a couple episodes where like he ends up like living through his parents, and he sees that Jor-El, kind of like in Smallville, where Jor-El came to Earth way back when. He actually came down there.
Yeah.
And then in season 4, they really go off into where they find this ship that was launched that had like 1,000 Kryptonians, and he gets taken to go basically lead the Kryptonian people again. So you get a little bit here and there. Still a great show. Go watch it. Superman or Lois Clark New Adventures Superman. Great. And then in Superman and Lois, we do see tidbits here and there of it. But you kind of also can see Supergirl, and you get some of it too.
Again, I feel like this is everyone knows the story. Okay, unless you're going to change it.
Well, so now, here's the thing. You would think that, right? But when we're talking about people, now you got to figure it's 2024. We're getting ready to roll into 2025, right? People born in 2000 are 24 and 20, getting ready to be 25 years old, right? Smallville came out in 2001. So you'd be a mid-teen by the time it finished, and if you weren't a comic book person, and you didn't grow up with that, maybe you did. Because I watch all these reaction channels where people are like, "Hey, first time watch this." Now most of them are full of shit; they've seen it plenty of times. But for some of them, they're like watching. Oh, I've never seen Superman the movie. I mean, the original one is from fucking 1978. Right? You're talking, we're moving to 50 years almost. So a lot of people haven't, where we're both like,
I get that.
How have you not seen this? And even Lois and Clark, it started out in 1993. Where we think we've seen a lot of origin stories, there are a lot of people who you would think do, but don't know Superman's origins. Or when we're talking the masses, now obviously if you're a fan of Superman, you do know, but
that's my point.
But if you want that $1 billion or $2 billion, you want that Avengers money, that fuck you money, you got to appeal to a very broad audience.
I agree. I'm not saying I agree. They're going to try to appeal to a broad audience, but my point is the people that are going to be intrigued by those people who don't really care about the lore and stuff, they're not going to give a fuck about the origin story anyway.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm in agreement with you. I don't think he needs an origin story. I'm just saying though that
right. No. I'm that's exactly my point. I'm saying the people that would care about the origin story already know it, and they don't need to see it again. The people that are going to see the movie who've never seen Superman or whatever, they're not going to give a fuck about it. They don't care.
Guilty as charged with the story.
They're not, whether you show that to them or don't isn't going to matter.
Well, and so going
I really
back
don't.
to what you said, what the guy said about creating the emotional connection, right? Superman did that. When you remember the first one, when he goes out there for the first time you see him, and he rescues the kitten from the tree and he gives it to the girl. Now, granted, she gets slapped by her mom, which is hilarious for lying, even though she was telling the truth and things like that. But that's what created the emotional connection, right? was you saw how he cared, even the little things, even helping the girl get her kitten. He didn't stick
That's where
around
I
for
learned
the
to parent.
backlash or backhand, I should say. But like, it's that's what created the emotional connection where I think a lot of people struggled. I say a lot of people, I mean a lot of the normies that just aren't fans of the character, but just went and saw the movie with like Man of Steel. Is because we didn't see that. Yeah, you saw it, but he was kind of brooding and he's doing these things behind the scenes. It didn't make as much of I think, an emotional connection as like Superman being in the suit where he's that symbol. Um, Still badass. I think
Mm.
for the average person, I'm not talking the average Superman fan, just the average regular MCU fan coming over to watch Man of Steel kind of person, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
No
I
offense to the
guess
MCU fans. I'm sure there's somebody who
no.
loves
Even then,
yeah.
like, if you're aware of any comic book, if you know, I feel like it's a common knowledge. Maybe not Batman so much, but definitely Superman's origin story is well known. Like, I feel like that's one you definitely don't have to hit again. Now, Batman's where uh it gets kind of murky in the sense that there's like a couple different versions depending on what you've seen, right? So that's where I could see maybe if they wanted to do a 10-minute thing and whatever to just set the stage of this is where this Batman started, you know. I mean, I get it. It's just and what I guess maybe not even really his origin story. It's more or less the Joker's origin story, technically, if you think about it, of what happened. Because technically, his mom and dad both that whole thing has been the same. But I guess what I didn't particularly care for, and this is don't get me wrong, I'm kind of staying on a little tangent here for the next 15 seconds, but the only I do love Batman the original movie with the Tim Burton's Batman. But I think making Jack Napier kind of the guy that killed his parents there. Oh, spoiler alert! If you haven't seen, fuck you. I think that's just kind of a dumb thing to do. As far as if you're gonna make, not dumb. It doesn't fit with the Joker. I guess.
So
Like it doesn't.
let me ask you this question, Mattis. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
See, okay. See, that was good. That was a good one.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
All day. I got them all day.
I
Let's
know.
go.
So let's, yeah, and again, audiences already know the characters. They know where they come from. Majority of moviegoers that are going to go watch this film or watch any of the DC films, or let's just say Batman and Superman. Because here's the thing too. I will say he didn't say this about. He was very particular of the words he used in responding to this fan. He said, "I'm not telling Batman and Superman origin stories." Okay, that doesn't mean he's not going to tell, Hal Jordan's or not Hal Jordan or
Guy Gardner.
Guy Gardner or John Stewart. Like, he's not saying none of the other characters are not going to get that. He's just saying Batman and Superman, which this is where I kind of agree. Origin stories in general, I do not like. Personal opinion. In general, I do not like. However, when it comes to obscure characters, and you see this in the MCU, because with like Tony Stark or Thor or characters that maybe people don't know a lot about at all, like they've not been the main characters in comic books for a long time, and I say the main characters, like there's not a bunch of action figures of them out for 30 or 40 years, right? Like those characters, like I could see those personally helped me when I watched those films to kind of understand what was going on. I get that. Okay. But even then on some well-known characters like Spider-Man, because, another thing was that it posted in this article that I'm reading from here. Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Peter Parker kind of just was there. They didn't show an origin story of that at all.
I was glad you didn't just say Tom Holland's Peter. I thought you were going to say Tom Holland's Peter.
I should have.
I was like, whoa, buddy.
He
looked underage, man. Get out of the back. Sorry.
I checked his driver's license. It's fine. Yeah. So I mean, even the first and second installments of MCU Spider-Man films, didn't really go into the origin story. So it can work. Not saying it's not going to work. I'm just saying this is a personal victory for me from what I read. Gunn had said that I'm happy that he's not going to delve into any of that with Batman or Superman, and I'm fine with
Now,
that.
what I do love is they said that Superman, and he I think it was within the same vein of this, was that Superman the movie is going to set up a little bit of the Lantern show, which I think is interesting because it's
Ah.
going to have some tie back because obviously we got Guy Gardner, but when we go to the Lanterns, we're going to have Hal Jordan training John Stewart, right? And
Mhm.
one thing Mantis and I have discussed, kind of like with the Penguin that just wrapped on HBO Max. Go watch it if you haven't seen it; it's awesome. But
Mhm.
that's
It is.
a mini series, which I feel like maybe the Lanterns would be, even if you do a couple of seasons and you do actually make it a show, is a great place to do an origin because you can do it over the course of a season and get a lot of detail out there. But we all know,
Bingo.
we've talked about it many, many times, and we will continue to talk about it on this show, that too much going on is what killed the Green Lantern movie. Now, there were some other things too, the suit being CGI'd and it didn't look great, all this stuff did, but nobody really gives a shit. There was too much because technically Parallax is actually the entity of fear. He's one of the 7 entities of fear, but we were not going to go into all that yet. But there was way too much to bring in the Guardians, how the Green Lantern Corps, and all this other stuff, and then throw in Parallax. It was too much for a movie, right? It overwhelmed it
Yeah,
because
can't fit that.
yeah, you can't do
Yeah, you can't fit
origin
that.
for all of this shit. Because you're not even doing
No.
origin for a character. You're doing origin for an entire race of immortal beings, an entire origin of the Green Lantern Corps, and then the character.
That's such a, it's such a good idea. They should do DCU Origins is what they should do. They should do a separate series of these mini series like they did with the Penguin and show the origin stories of these characters, and you can tie it in. These, if your main DCU films are on this plane and you have, your Penguin is here, but it's gonna connect to the main storyline. That's fine, but it stays outside of that, right? It comes down here every once in a while. You're moving along, and then you have a Lantern's origin down here, and then it comes back up, and then those characters are moving along here, right?
But,
like you can do that type.
What
of
if
thing.
you have a ceiling and you just want to bust through it, right? You just bust through, and then you have another ceiling and you just bust through that.
Burst through our ceiling. You're gonna find another ceiling, and you gotta bust through that one, and you just gotta keep hammering ceilings.
Okay.
Exactly.
Same, that
we just use that joke. Yeah, I love it. No, I agree with you. Like you can have those stories because as we've seen, and again, a big caveat here is the thing about the Penguin, and we discussed this, is it's on HBO. Okay. They got good money. They can make it look good. They can spend the money on the actors and actresses, which again, Colin Farrell was great in that, but man, what's her name?
Kristen Milioti.
Milioti is so fucking good in that show.
She's
here's what I'll say. It's my little wrist bar for my keyboard or whatever. But I was gonna say, I was thinking about this after we'd done the video on the Penguin. She quite possibly maybe the most. I'll say she may be the female villain in a comic book movie universe that I like the most, and that I kind of felt sorry for.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's the thing. Is she really, if you think about it, is she really and we are not going off on a tangent, but is she really the villain? She took out her evil family, right? And she was against odds.
She killed a lot of people, man.
I feel like if anything in that show, she was an anti-hero.
You could say that. She killed a lot of people.
She still did fantastic. That is how you write a strong female character. Sorry.
Exactly.
That is how you do it.
Oh, yes.
That's
badass.
Perfect.
Yes. And if you do,
and I'm sorry,
some of these origins,
she has the eyes, beautiful eyes, but man, she has the ability to make them crazy as fuck. You're like, oh shit, she is psycho.
Yeah,
but she's amazing in it.
Tractor beam sucked me right in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
I was gonna say, so that's where I think origins need to, and I feel like, and we talked about this in a previous video, is the mini series is perfect for origin stories and to tie them in. And James Gunn's already said he wants to tie in TV shows with like Creature Commando style, even animated. Everything's going to be tied in, right? So mini series is where it's at. You've got 6 to 10 episodes, good budget. You have everything there. You can tie it into the movies, but it takes care of your origins or at least those questions people have, right? Because there are going to be a lot of people who go watch this and they're like, I don't know who some of these people are. Now, for my DC fans out there, okay, you may be dating somebody or married, you may have a partner that is not as familiar with them. Your job is to educate them and get them to watch some of these before they go see the movie, right? There's plenty of DC animated out there, and it's actually really good. The problem is, and I feel for you, it is difficult to get your partner, like, you got your girlfriend, you got your wife, or, for any of our female audience, if you reverse it, I don't care what your status is, but you got your partner sitting there, then you try to say, hey, watch this animated show with me. It's cool because DC does great animated. And they're like,
They do.
Are you a fucking kid? Am I a pedo? Like, it gets really awkward, but you're like, no, dude, it's intense, man. Their animated shows are intense, but they're great. They're great storytelling because it's just like comics.
They're not cartoons.
They're comics for people who are too unimaginative now to kind of like read. Like, because I'm right there with you guys. It's hard for me to read now because I have all of this, right? I want to see it. I want to see it in cartoon or live action.
No, I agree. I mean, and that's another avenue that, again, even if you don't have the budget to do something like HBO, you could do an animated stuff like you said, like doing Creature Commandos. I guess where it kind of gets iffy is where they got with the Penguin. They used kind of Miliani's. She's not a star. She's an actress. She's been in Hollywood a while. But Colin Farrell's really where you're spending all your money.
He's A tier.
Yeah. So if you're talking about, for instance, if you're going to do this with Batman or Superman, you could probably do that with David Cornsweet because he's not Corn. Isn't that what I said? Cornsweet.
You just said corn sweat. You should
corn
and sweat.
Corn sweat.
We did so well to start pronouncing his name correctly. Don't regress, okay?
I said corn sweat.
Corn
so
sweat.
he corn does sweat though. So you could afford him to do that in a series like you did with Farrell, but it would have to be on HBO Max, right? And that's the thing is if you're going to do this with like Henry Cavill, he's gonna want S tier money to do a series for like it's not. I just don't think you could afford that.
Half your budget for the show is going to go to him.
You can't. Yeah. And even then, like, I don't know. I say that, and then he did well with The Witcher, so I don't know. It would just have to be done well, I guess.
Money, man. There. Fuck, there's a shit ton of money went into The Witcher.
Yeah, and they fucked it up. Anyway, that's
third season.
Anyway, guys. Yeah. Anyway, to me, kind of wrapping this up, I'm just happy that he mentioned it and confirmed what I was hoping. So that makes me feel good. That means we're gonna get right into the action when these films are going. It's going right in. You know what's going. I mean, you know what's going on. You know who the characters are as far as Superman and Batman's going to be. You don't need to dive into any of that garbage. Now, what it does leave room for is some type of villainy or sidekick, origin-y stuff if they wanted to do it.
Possibly. We may not even get that, right? We've said many times on this show, we are dropping into a universe already in progress, okay? And yes, I will say I'm in agreement with Mantis. Like, I understand the importance of origin stories, but because I know all of these characters so well, I just want to see Darkseid in a movie. Like, I'm tired of. I don't need origin stories. Let's fast forward. Let's get to this. I love that we're getting the engineer and the authority in there and things, and even Ultraman and all that. We're getting all these things. Cool. Jump in again. I know them. I get it. All right. So I'm sorry if it's a little too out there for the average viewer. But guess what? If you actually like the video and you subscribe to the channel, we'll be here to explain it all for you. If you need, if like before the Superman movie releases, we will do videos on every one of these extra characters. Let us know down in the comments if you don't know of a character, if you don't know the Authority very well, you don't know the Engineer, you don't know Ultraman. We will do a complete video on it, so you will know ahead of time. We got your back. We will fill in the origin story, even against Mantis and hating origin stories. I will make him do a fucking origin story for you guys.
Help me help you. Help me help you. Help me help you.
Right?
I'll do it if you guys want it.
You
We'll
know.
do it. But let us know.
Like we said, it's DC fans' obligation to spread the knowledge, right? It's like our religion here, right? This is our religion, the House of DC. We are welcoming. We welcome all Marvel fans as well, but we are the House of DC. Come join us. Superman is our Jesus.
I am Marvel Jesus.
You know, whatever you want to say on that, guys, don't get offended. It was a joke. Calm down before you go disliking the video, which we're at 27 minutes, wherever I cut it down to. You probably aren't even
You're
here
not
now.
even.
So all this is just gone by the wayside. But guys, we kind of already wrapped it up here. If you've made it with us this far, consider giving the video a like. He is going to show you where. Right down there. He's getting a little lazy with it. It's cool. Subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on any of these videos that we do. We're trying to dial it back and refine where we're only bringing you out like things that we know are confirmed. We don't want to bring you out any fake news. So if you hit the little bell, you'll get notified when we release new videos. Okay, we got at least 1 or 2 coming out every week. A lot coming out. We got a lot of news coming over the next few months.
Oh yeah, be on the lookout. There will be a day of Superman trailer video. So
and I promise you guys,
that is coming.
Unlike the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, I will keep this one under 50 minutes. Okay, goals under 30.
It's coming.
All right.
The rumor is it's going to be Christmas or right before Christmas. So we'll see.
Yeah,
it's December 25th for you people that do not for the
Hanukkah people
wear the hats and the
All right,
yeah,
guys. So comment down below. Let us know how you feel about not having origin stories. Let us know if there are characters that you already know that are going to be in the Superman movie you're not very familiar with. If you would like us to do a video on just going over that character, more informational style, like the Green Lantern one is getting. I'm finishing it up. It's getting ready to release.
It's going to be good, guys. You're going to love it.
We will do that. All right, we're here for you guys. And until then, Mantis, unless you have anything else, we'll go ahead and wrap this video. Keep it under a half hour. That way we stay within the limits of being a after-school special length TV show. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for us on this episode of You, Me, and DC. Until next time, we will see you then.
Later.